An African Christmas Tale, The Holiday, Part 1. The fire crackled in the darkness, casting shadows that danced along the walls. But in those shadows, secrets lingered, old wounds hidden deep under the surface. This Christmas was meant to bring the family together, but not all were here with good intentions. It was Christmas time in the village, and people were bustling everywhere. Houses were decorated with woven garlands, and children ran around playing, their laughter filling the air. The Okafor family was no different, gathering from near and far to spend the holiday together. For many, it was the only time in the year they saw each other. They wanted to make it a holiday to remember. Auntie Ngozi had prepared the feast. There was jollof rice, roasted goat, yam, and all kinds of traditional dishes. People sat around laughing, sharing stories, and remembering the good old days. But as they laughed, not everyone's smile was real. Hidden under the smiles were secrets, grudges, and pain. Nnenna, the youngest daughter, had returned from the city where she worked. She'd left the village a few years ago to make a better life for herself. But when she came back, she brought more than just stories from the city. She brought a fiancé, Kene, a tall, charming man with a calm smile and kind eyes. For Nnenna, it was a chance to show her family that she'd found happiness. But her brother, Chidi, wasn't pleased. From the moment he saw Kene, something didn't sit right with him. Chidi watched as Kene laughed and charmed everyone, but something about his eyes made Chidi uneasy. He remembered the last time Nnenna had been heartbroken. She trusted too quickly, and it had taken her months to recover. Chidi didn't want to see her go through that again. As the evening grew darker, Chidi pulled Nnenna aside. "Nnenna, are you sure about this man?" he asked, his voice low. Nnenna frowned, pulling her arm away. "Chidi, why are you always so overprotective? Kene is good to me. He treats me well." Chidi shook his head, not convinced. "You don't know him well. He could be hiding something." The night continued, and people started dancing around the fire. The air was thick with the scent of food, smoke, and laughter. Nnenna and Kene joined the others, laughing and dancing together. For a moment, Nnenna felt at peace, like nothing could go wrong. But then, something unexpected happened. Uncle Ifani, who was known to drink a little too much during celebrations, stumbled up to Kene, squinting at him. "I know you," he slurred, pointing a shaky finger. "I've seen you before." Everyone went quiet, watching. Kene smiled, trying to laugh it off. "Uncle, you must be mistaken. I've never been here before." But Ifani's eyes narrowed, and he shook his head. No, I remember. I've seen you in the city. You were with another woman." Nnenna's face went pale. She looked at Kene, waiting for him to deny it, to explain. But Kene's smile faded, and his eyes turned cold. "Nnenna," he said quietly, "this man is drunk. Don't believe anything he says." But Uncle Ifani's words had already planted a seed of doubt. Nnenna felt her heart pounding. Could it be true? Had Kene been seeing someone else? The tension in the air was heavy as everyone tried to go back to the celebration. But the joy had faded, replaced with whispers and uncertain glances. Nnenna stayed close to Kene, hoping to forget what her uncle had said, but Chidi wasn't done. He watched Kene, determined to get to the bottom of things. That night, after most of the family had gone to bed, Chidi couldn't sleep. He slipped outside, hoping to find some peace under the stars. As he walked towards the trees, he heard voices. He stopped, hiding behind a tree, listening. It was Kene, talking to someone on the phone. "Look, I told you I'd handle it," Kene whispered. "Just give me more time. I'm close to getting what I came for." Chidi's heart raced. He tried to calm himself, but he couldn't ignore what he'd just heard. Kene was hiding something. The next morning, Chidi confronted Nnenna, telling her what he'd overheard. Nnenna shook her head, refusing to believe it. Chidi, you're just looking for something wrong with him. You're trying to ruin my happiness. Nnenna, I care about you, Chidi said, his voice firm. You deserve someone who's honest. He's lying to you. Nnenna stormed off, hurt and angry. She wanted to believe her brother, but her heart was torn. Was Kene really hiding something? Or was Chidi simply overprotective? As the day went on, Nnenna decided to confront Kene. She pulled him aside, looking him in the eye. Kene, tell me the truth. Are you here because you love me, or is there something else? Kene hesitated, looking away. He took a deep breath, then looked back at her, his face serious. Nnenna, I love you, but there is something I haven't told you. Nnenna's heart sank. What is it? She whispered. Kene sighed, rubbing his forehead. I owe some people in the city money. I thought if I married you, I could get the money from your family to pay them back. Nnenna felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath her. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. Kene hadn't come for her, he'd come for her family's wealth. She felt anger, betrayal, and pain all at once. That night, the family gathered again. This time, the mood was dark. Nnenna stood in front of them, her face hard, her voice shaking as she spoke. I thought I'd found love, she began, her eyes on the ground. But I was wrong. She looked up at Kene, her face full of pain. Kene came here with lies, with plans to deceive us. Gasps filled the room as everyone stared at Kene, whose face had gone pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but Chidi stepped forward, cutting him off. You came here to take advantage of my sister, of our family, Chidi said, his voice full of anger. You have no place here. Kene tried to defend himself, but the family wouldn't hear it. They told him to leave, to never come back. Kene walked away, his head down, leaving Nnenna heartbroken. As the holiday ended, the family tried to put the pieces back together. Nnenna was hurt, but she was surrounded by people who loved her. She realized that family was more than just the people who shared blood with her. They were the people who cared about her, who would stand by her even in her darkest moments. Nnenna's Christmas wasn't filled with joy and love as she'd hoped. But in the pain, she found something just as valuable, strength and the love of her family. And as she sat by the fire with Chidi, both of them watching the flames dance, she knew she would be okay. Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe buttons for more.